Welcome back to another episode of Spiritual Teachers Podcast. With me today, calling in from Thailand, is my friend 5D. 5D is an artist and a yogi, and many know him by his Instagram account, 5D Awakening Consciousness. It's such an honor to have you on today, brother. Welcome on.
Thanks, Peter, so much for having me on your podcast. It's such an honor.
I'm really excited for our episode today, man. We got some really interesting topics today. We're going to talk about uh, 5D's Great Awakening Map. We're going to talk about 5D consciousness. We're going to talk about the light body and much more. So I'm excited, man.
Those are the best topics you picked there.
For sure, man. We're gonna get into it. We may do a part two because there's so much to talk about, and I would love to invite you to share how your awakening journey started and the process and the journey of creating the Great Awakening Map.
Very nice. I've told this story many times on many podcasts, and it's been a long time since I've done a podcast. So let's see how it comes out this time with you, because you're a fellow yogi as well, I see. And it's a real privilege to meet another yogi in this world at this time. I usually meet uh, other podcast interviewers who are just normal people, but to meet a yogi is a different vibration. It's a different kind of conversation
For
because we've both been through similar experiences,
Yeah,
for the fact that we meet and we are talking about them right now. So I understand that you have been through so many things that I've been through to create this Great Awakening map. And I know that
absolutely.
your journey of awakening is similar to mine. Like, there was a catalyst, some type of dark night of the soul that made you reach out to find a higher answer
Yeah,
to the what reason why reality was the way it is, why something was broken in your life, why reality was broken, the matrix was malfunctioning. You needed to get out of it. You wanted to find out, you wanted to seek the light. And
absolutely.
I was living in Los Angeles when I had my awakening, between Orange County and Los Angeles, California, if people are familiar with that area.
Hmm.
Uh, I had just finished art school, UC Irvine,
Hmm.
around 2007. And I was a freelance graphic designer, just, working my way through life, making money, partying on the weekends. And I had so much time living at home as a freelance designer.
Hmm.
And when you have that much time, you're like on YouTube randomly finding videos of UFOs at night, 3 in the morning.
For
And I
sure.
found some video about the hexagon on top of Saturn. And somebody like myself who has been obsessed with space and Star Wars and Star Trek my entire life and studied the entire solar system, as a
Hmm.
child, I never saw something like this before. There's a hexagon on top of Saturn that you can fit like 10 Earths inside of. It's huge.
Whoa.
And I was so stunned and fascinated and disturbed because I had never seen something with such a perfect geometric shape existing in nature, let alone on top of Saturn. And it made me go down the rabbit hole of listening to the researcher who made this video, what he had to say about it. He was a secret space program whistleblower named Richard Hoagland. He's one of the most OG UFO researchers that there is. And he used to be on the Art Bell show back in the day. People may know him from that.
Hmm.
And he was saying that this hexagon shape, this cloud pattern on top of Saturn, is being formed due to what is known as hyperdimensional physics. And hyperdimensional physics is related to free energy. And as you know, UFOs use free energy to power their craft, and ETs use free energy to power their entire civilizations. But before we jump that far, the fact that Saturn has this emanation of free energy emanating from its sacred geometry, it this is stuff that's not taught in school. This is referred to as hyperdimensional physics or black project physics from the secret
Hmm.
space program. This just led me down the rabbit hole to like free energy, the things that NASA has been suppressing from us, the things that our Black Project military programs have been suppressing from us. And this also led into UFOs, ETs, and the entire study of exopolitics, which is the study of cosmic relations of Earth and humans and ETs,
Hmm.
which is a thing. It's real. But
Oh yeah.
most of us don't know because we're just going through life with fluoride stares.
Right. Right.
That's the fact. Most people have no idea things like this existed.
Yeah.
So that's one rabbit hole. And after that rabbit hole, I started to understand the concept of consciousness, metaphysics, how this all relates together in terms of like holistic health, eating organic, just saying no to the system, finding your own happiness rather than inside of the material world through movies and cars and mansions.
Right.
And the spiritual journey automatically comes with figuring out like, are ETs real or not? Because eventually you're going to find other topics of like spiritual awakening within that category.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know this, right?
For sure.
I mean, just like the Great Awakening map, like it's going to have all the topics we're talking about, but the main path of it is a spiritual path through all of the darkness and the confusion that's in our world.
Yeah.
Because if you don't understand that, because if you don't suffer in this world, you're not going to ever care to have a spiritual awakening. You're just going to be so comfy on your couch watching TV and eating microwave dinners. I mean,
Right.
that's the majority of people who just don't care.
Right.
And to have a spiritual awakening, you have to go through like what we talked about earlier, a dark night of the soul.
Hmm.
And then that is the catalyst that allows you to seek a higher understanding of your human condition.
Hmm.
And I say, fix yourself or transcend your current state to something what's known as something better, right? So it's like enlightenment, obviously, but most people don't understand that sometimes becoming better is not necessary. You're already perfect as you are. Like this is really advanced spiritual teachings, but
For
maybe
sure.
we can go into that later. This is,
No,
yeah,
for sure. I mean, if I hadn't gone through that dark night of the soul, my my mind, my body, everything would have been still in that frequency, right? Like it was just in a low, dense energy, and I needed to, my soul was just craving the truth. It was craving to know what else was out there. And I think I've been like that since I was a kid, like I knew that I had to get through these things, school, college, all these things to get to the real reason I was here.
absolutely. If you're a yogi today, it means that in past lives you were already some type of spiritual counsel or spiritual master. You just don't become a yogi randomly in the times that we live unless you had a spiritual connection to your past life. So the fact that we are meeting today as two yogis and trying to share this information to people, it just goes to show like we've been on such a long journey already, not only in this lifetime, but countless and eons of lifetimes, trying to help awaken people in such a way that their lives change and they never have to go back to the old person they were when they were suffering and when they had fear and confusion in their life. And if we could just make at least one person awaken today, then our job is done. We
Exactly.
helped change the trajectory, the vibration, frequency, consciousness of Mother Earth
Yeah.
because we're all beings living upon her, yet we're all interconnected. Mother Earth and the Father Son, we're all connected in this cosmic dance, confusing and scary at times, but at the end, it's ultimately beautiful and enlightening.
Yeah, I'm at this stage right now where I try to be the observer. Sometimes it's hard, but I try to observe what's happening and not try to change too much. I listen to spirit and I make the movements and motions towards what spirit tells me, and then I'm navigating that way. I try not to stray from that, and I every morning my intention is to align with my highest timeline and that I am in my highest timeline. So connecting with you and being on this together right now is definitely feels part of that.
Very cool. It's like the saying from the Tao Te Ching. I've been studying it for many years, and it's been one of the most life-changing, mind-blowing spiritual teachings I've ever encountered. It's referred to as the Tao,
Mm-hmm.
and what you were referring to is the dance and the flow and just being centered. Being centered in the Tao is like when you remain centered, you can observe the entire world revolve around you rather than trying to interfere and become sticky in its mess.
Mm-hmm.
So being one with the Tao is more of like trusting the flow of life and understanding that things happen for a reason. And sometimes it's better for not if we're not trying to manipulate, change, or interfere with what's occurring around us, and rather be an equanimous observer and you see the bigger picture of reality rather than having judgments of, I think it should be this way, or I think it should be another way, or I think this is good and this is bad, or this is pretty, this is ugly. If we kind of drop those labels, and as you said, be centered or be in the flow or have an equanimous awareness of life, then we are operating from what is known as the enlightened mind, the Buddha mind.
Mm-hmm.
The Buddha mind is a mind that has no judgments of how things unfold, but they are fully immersed and fully present with life and everything that it is offering at that moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And what you said right there, presence, like fully present in every moment, that's a constant practice that I'm engaged in every day, trying to be just present with what's at hand right now, because that's all we really have is the moment, you know?
Exactly. Having presence is the most, it's the deepest spiritual teaching, and yet it's also the most simplest spiritual teaching. You're going to find this theme across every religion and every spiritual school, you know, from Hindu to Advaita Vedanta to Zen to Dzogchen, Mahamudra, Buddhism. You're going to find this thread of awareness, present awareness, being present, being aware of the present moment, because it's a meditation and it's also what is known as it's a realization. So when you are present, you are not worried about the past or having anxiety about the future. And when your mind is in the present moment, you can understand and feel a peace that has been described by all spiritual ascended masters.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, when people do yoga, the movements of the body are physical, yet the mind remains still. And the physicalness of the yoga is to have a contrast to see the stillness of mind. And I'm sure you know this because you practice Kundalini yoga
Mm-hmm.
and you told me that you're an instructor.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really interested to hear your thoughts on how presence and Kundalini yoga has been seen by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, Kundalini yoga, whenever I practice, it takes me into out of my mind into my body. And then by fatiguing the body through the exercises, through the Kriya, I'm able to reach those deeper states of meditation, which are pretty much built into every Kundalini yoga class. And I did a specific Kriya for 1,000 days straight, and there was some profound experiences from that because no matter what was happening in my life, that was my anchor. You know, I had that to come back to every day. And no matter if I had a 104 fever, I had a broken hand, I still was able to continue through for 1,000 days, which I haven't met that many people that have done that.
Very nice. I'm pretty sure your letting go moment was
Yeah.
really profound because when you contract yourself with that type of physical exercise in Vajrayana Buddhism, the path that I practice is referred to as a Rushin. And Rushin is when you do like these intense physical exercises and then you let go.
Hmm.
And then you do them again and then you let go.
Hmm.
And then in the moment of letting go, you have a more present awareness of the present moment. Your awareness is much more vibrant, much more lucid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you can recognize that awareness over and over again, then that is known as becoming enlightened.
Hmm.
People think that being enlightened means you have to have like light shining out of your head with a halo, floating, wearing white robes. I
Hmm.
mean, maybe that's one aspect of it,
Right.
but being enlightened means that your mind is returning to a state of pure peace, pure equanimity
Yeah.
every moment of the day. And if it's in this state of equanimity every moment of the day, then you have less chances of it being attached to the past or the present. And then that creates suffering and craving attachment. And then, from there, like Yoda says, from anger leads to whatever. Just, do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah,
Leads to
absolutely.
darkness. Yeah.
Yeah, Yoda was an amazing, I mean, he's just like an embodiment of a spiritual teacher in a movie. And these movies there's so much depth to Star Wars, It's like it's amazing. So I'd love to kind of shift back to your experience with creating the map because the map is so profound. And I had bought this map from you many years ago, probably like 7 or 8 years ago. What year did
Oh,
you create?
really? Oh,
Yeah,
thank you so much.
yeah, of course. What
I
what year
created
did you
it
create it?
in 2018.
2018. Yeah, I think I
Right.
bought it 2000 late 2018, early 2019 was when I purchased it, and I hung it up in my room. I had like a little studio in San Diego, and I would look at it every time I would walk to the bathroom, and there would be these little pieces that would just click in sometimes, and I think that's part of the purpose of creating it, right?
Nice. Did you see Kundalini Awakening on it somewhere there?
Oh yeah, oh
I
yeah,
have yoga on there too, and I think you'll like that.
yeah.
Uh, I was I was in my prime as a designer back in the day, and when I made this, it only took me 3 days,
Oh wow.
because technically as a graphic designer, it wasn't a big deal for me,
Hmm.
but the content of it was the big deal because that had to take over a decade of research
Yeah.
from 2008ish, 2009, all the way to 2018. I guess I had spent that time like just going down the rabbit hole every day on YouTube and
Wow.
reading books and going to like spiritual UFO conferences and hanging out with all of the best metaphysical researchers at the time. Uh, Like back then, I was really into like Nassim Haramein, David Wilcock, Dolores Cannon, and Richard Hoagland, Stephen Greer. All of these big researchers.
The
I would go to
OGs.
all of their conferences. Yeah, they're all the OGs,
Yeah.
and their their research changed my life. And oh, even Bashar, right?
Yeah.
I went to see Bashar once I think it was like Santa Ana or something,
Uh-huh.
right? But I didn't even get into the show. Like it was sold out. So I just listened to him through the window outside
Oh
at night.
wow.
Yeah, but I had already heard all of his videos. Like I was his like best fan. I had seen every YouTube video. So when I went to go hear him talk, I was like, okay, I already heard this. So
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I was so deep into Bashar. And the reason why we're talking today is because of Bashar. Like, if it wasn't for him telling me to follow my highest passion at every moment with no insistence on the outcome, I wouldn't be here talking to you. Like,
For sure.
in this moment, it took me from that moment all the way to, I guess, 20 years later. Here I am in Thailand, living the life that I guess I was supposed to be living. Like, I didn't know this would be my dream life, but if I think about it, there's no other place I would rather be, nothing else I would rather be doing than just living in a meditation retreat home here in Thailand
Hmm.
and just doing it.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
You're living the dream that a lot of us have been working on creating, and it's so beautiful to be in like your energy of that, right? Like you're fully embodying it. You've been there for 8 years, and you're just fully trusting the universe. And we had a conversation before the podcast, and I really felt that from you. I really felt the energy of like you're you're just so committed to the path and to what you're here to do as your purpose. It's really inspirational.
There's there's times when it's scary and you start to doubt yourself, but then you always go back to the teachings, and then you relearn it and re-implement it, and then everything is okay. But
Yeah,
there are dark nights of the soul. Like there are moments when you're just like you just feel like you don't know what to do next, like the next step.
hmm
You kind of are like, oh, what happens if I don't have enough money, or what happens if this and this happens? You start to go through this loop of uh, your confidence, I guess,
like
starts to
doubt
fade.
almost,
Sometimes,
right?
yes, thank you. But then you just go back to the teachings. You go back to your masters, and you just reintegrate everything you've learned. I guess this is part of the spiritual path. You know, it's not a straight line. It's more of like a you're going up the mountain side to side, and stepping stones and here and there.
For
So
sure.
yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So when we spoke before the podcast, you mentioned that you Bashar was one of the main inspirations for the Great Awakening map, right?
Oh, absolutely. Because he, as an artist, I was already like in tune with my intuition, and it was an easy process for me to sit down and realize what I wanted to make. It was basically calling to the universe. I need to make something that will awaken humanity as quickly as possible.
hmm
And at that time on Instagram, memes were just becoming like hot.
Yeah.
And I decided that it needed to be like a one-page meme that when it was posted, it would allow people to like take the red pill. But then I had so many red pills in my mind from researching for so long. I decided to just put all in one page, right? And it turned out like this. Not bad. It turned out like pretty good. And all the things I wanted to put in there fit in there just enough so that people would pique their curiosity and research further.
hmm
Like I didn't write too much about everything. I just wanted to say, by the way, guys, while you guys are all sleeping, these things already are occurring in the world, and you should know about them. Because if you don't, you're just gonna die totally clueless to the secrets of the universe.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, wake up, guys. So much is going on. Stop taking fluoride toothpaste. Stop eating junk food. Stop getting vaccinated. Just chill out and, like take psychedelics or something. Just kidding.
No, I mean that's a way that a lot of people awaken. You know, it's a
Including
powerful
myself.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a powerful medicine. There's so many different forms of it and shapes, you know. It's comes in all shapes and sizes, you know. You just have to be open to it and face that fear, right, of like the unknown.
The psychedelic mushrooms were some of the greatest teachers I've ever had. And the reason why the Great Awakening map was able to even occur is because of the psychedelic trips I've had and all the profound visions and teachings that I received. So, you know, thank you so much to the mushroom teachers and all the other higher beings for helping me create the map at the time that it was created.
Mhm.
And it's still being shown on Instagram every day. And just recently, this past 2 or 3 weeks, because of the Epstein files, people were making reels about the map, like pointing like, oh, you are here at Epstein Island.
Mhm.
And then they'll zoom out and show, by the way, there's a lot more. We're
Yeah.
not done yet.
Yeah.
So because of those reels getting like millions of views, my account and my website started having an increase in visitors every day, I mean, even till today. So I've been taking a lot of time this week to try to take care of my website and the shop
Mhm.
because opportunities like this don't happen often. And as a yogi, like this helps to support my lifestyle, my income.
Hmm.
So I'm very grateful to all the people in the world who have found the map for the first time, either downloaded it for free or purchased a poster, and they ship internationally. So if people want to know more information, like beyond Epstein and the reason why things are the way they are in this world, then this map will help you understand that there's not just darkness in this world, but there's also a path to liberation,
Hmm.
liberation of yourself spiritually so that you can become a higher being, an ascended master. You
Right.
can become a Buddha, you can become a god, not like God, capital God, but like, somebody who is of a higher dimensional consciousness.
Right.
And in in like UFO lore, these might be 5D beings, 6D beings, if you want to like refer to it as that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that
Yeah.
brings me to the question of, for those that don't know, what can you explain 5D and what it means and what you've found throughout your research of 5D?
Okay. 5D is sort of like, it's sort of a casual term the way I use it. It just
Mhm.
means a higher state of consciousness. And you can
Okay.
get technical about it and say like, oh, is it a light being or does it have a physical body? Like, do they live on Earth or are they like living in multiverse?
Mhm.
You can be very technical about it, or you can just consider it as a term that denotes a higher state of consciousness, higher than what humans are at right now.
Right.
And usually, when you go up higher in dimension, 4D, 5D beings, they're supposed to be more peaceful, more enlightened than a lower level. But there are also negatively oriented ETs that are considered 4D beings, like the Greys, for
Yeah, like
example.
the Greys. I was going to say that. Yeah.
So those are like considered like negative oriented beings, but they're actually like telepathic and really smart.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like strange when you think about it, but the meaning of it is supposed to denote like a higher state of being, a consciousness.
Well,
And
what
you can
I
even
know,
be a light body as well, a light body.
right.
Yeah.
Well, what I know about what I have learned about the Greys from different shows on Gaia and all these David Wilcock episodes that I've watched, is like that the Greys are more of like droids. They're organic like us, but they don't have any sexual organs, and they've kind of their DNA has been um, manipulated so much that they're almost like controlled by other extraterrestrials and other beings. Is that,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, they're referred to as EBEs. I think it stands for biological entity, electronic biological entity. I forgot the first one, but they're half machine and half biology, half
okay.
organic, half machine,
Hmm.
and they're usually like controlled by, like for example, uh, tall whites,
Right.
ETs, tall
Hmm.
humanoid whites. They'll control these EBEs to do missions for them.
Hmm.
So most of the people who see like UFOs come down and like there's like a door that comes down and like the typical gray comes out. That's probably an eben, the biological entity.
Hmm.
So there's so many different types of ETs and so many different uses for them that it's mind-boggling if you even consider that this is real.
Well, what like, I have that intuitive side like you were mentioning, and then I have the logical side. So that's why my logical side wants proof, right? And the most profound proof that I've found so far is the crop circles that are happening around the world. And most important, like the major ones are around Stonehenge that are like publicized and things like that. And I'm sure you've seen the image of the extraterrestrial holding the disc. Yeah, that one to me, there is absolutely like the tiniest possible chance that humans created that. Like that disc has a message that was translated, and I forget exactly what it said, but it was basically like beware of the other ETs because they're not all of the light, you know? And and so when I see those kind of things, and then I watch these videos where they're showing that with infrared cinematography, right, with infrared camera, you can film the ships actually coming down and creating these things. And when it's not we can't see infrared like in our spectrum of vision. We have to put on the goggles or use the special cameras. And so when I see these extremely exquisite crop circles happening around the world, that was enough to convince my logical mind, okay, there's something way more happening here. And like if people just took a deeper look at that, and then you look at the Nazca lines in Peru, it's like, and then it's happening all around. It's happening everywhere, you know? And that's what I think is so profound about it.
The crop circles are one of the most profound things I've ever studied as well. And it's not that the grass is being laid down flat, it's actually being like microwave and bent like this.
Yep.
So that the stalk is still intact,
Yep.
but it was heated on this side. So the heat expands it and then it just falls over.
Right.
And you can see them being formed at night on some videos and they just fall within, I think, 1 or 2 seconds. The entire
Right.
thing is complete. And for me, studying this phenomena for 20 years now, like I don't have a definitive answer, but I think it's either the light orbs being a 5D being, they're able to manipulate the grass in this way, or it's either like, let's just say, for example, tall whites manipulating the grass from their craft somewhere in another dimension. I don't know. But for myself, when I see the patterns, I don't feel fully like, I don't know how to say this. Like, I kind of feel uneasy when I see the patterns. Some of them are like scary looking, and some of them are not that attractive.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what it is. So it's either a warning message from ETs, either from our future, or it's either us from the future sending artwork down to just, I don't know, download into our minds.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why they're being shown is that the patterns are downloaded into our mass consciousness for a time later in the future when they need to, like a seed, it's going to sprout into whatever type of knowledge information that we may need. But yeah, very interesting. And the
Yeah.
fact that
So
there's videos of it is pretty awesome.
it's so cool. It's so cool. There's so many of them out there too, and it made me think while you were talking of going to visit Roswell, New Mexico, and going to the Roswell Museum, right? And I was a little bit disappointed with the museum. There wasn't really that. It wasn't that cool, except for at the very end when you go around the museum they have images of the grass from these crop circles, and you can see that they've zoomed in on the real ones, right? On the grass that's been laid down, like you said, with the almost like a microwave technology where they didn't kill. They're not killing or hurting the plant. They just fold them, and then they can still grow. And that was like an important piece of the puzzle for me, where I saw that, oh wow, okay, so this is how they're doing it, you know? And that was another like way that my logical mind could be like, okay, this isn't just something somebody made up, you know?
Right. If you extrapolate the sacred geometry of all of these patterns, you'll eventually be able to create what is known as the 64 tetrahedron, which is the geometric structure of free energy. It's also the geometry of enlightenment, if you want to think of it like that. So the flower of life is like the 2D version of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 3D flower of life is referred to as the 64 tetrahedron. So every crop circle, if you extrapolate the geometry of it'll somehow refer back to the pattern for free energy.
Mm-hmm.
So they're either downloading this into our minds that, hey, if you want to have UFOs and fly around like us, if you want to make these crop circles, then you have to develop free technology, free energy technology, and you have to do it in a peaceful way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're not going to come and help you, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah, and they're
humans are
meant
crazy.
yeah, and they're meant to be looked at as like a toroidal field where the energy's moving in and coming out almost like an apple, right? And
Yes.
when you make the 2D images that are on the grass and you extrapolate them into these toruses, toroidal fields, then it just you can see how it's just like endlessly looping and traveling through, which is also super profound. And
Super cool because it's a technology that they're sharing with us as well as a spiritual enlightenment.
mhm,
So because everything is included within the 64 tetrahedron, the entire secrets of the universe, the entire blueprint of how we were formed and where we're going,
mhm,
as well as the consciousness aspect of what it means to be, like we were talking about earlier, in a state of equanimous awareness.
mhm.
Equanimous awareness is the flower of life. Everything is locked together perfectly. Everything is contained within, the micro and the macro is all contained within that one shape. And you can also be fully at peace when you complete the flower of life. It's the symbol of peace. It's the symbol of enlightenment. So when you're sitting in meditation, eyes closed, and you are fully, thoughts have stopped, and you're just in pure awareness, that is considered the 64 tetrahedron, the flower of life. So these ETs, these higher dimensional beings, they're giving us everything that we need to basically ascend. But a lot of us want to use that for weapons and negative technology. So they have to spoon feed us little by little. And they want to see if we can create the free energy devices with the crop circle patterns they give us. And people like Nassim Haramein are already doing this. It's pretty profound.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. I'm always fascinated by it. As you were talking about the flower of life, when I was on a plant medicine, I was able to see with eyes open the flower of life all around us, like a dome over the earth. And have you ever experienced that?
It's one of the most profound things I talk about in every psychedelic podcast. Is seeing the flower of life pattern in real life is the
Yeah.
most profound thing you could ever experience, because you can see it as like the walls. You can see it like when it rains. I was in Thailand one time along a river, and it was raining at night really hard, like a full on tropical storm.
Mhm.
And when the rain fell onto the river, every water drop that came out was the flower of life pattern. The entire river was a
Wow.
flower of life. And I was so blown away because I realized that it's always present, but we can't see it because our minds are grasping onto edges and corners and squares.
Hmm.
Because where there are curves, there is spirit. But where there are corners, there is ego. And if you can remember this teaching of the flower of life, you'll be able to flow through life without having to like get, what do you call it? You stub your toe on something, the corner of the bed.
Hmm.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Right.
Um, like, okay, but for example, like when you are on mushroom journeys, sometimes you enter these higher dimensional realms where the entire world is made out of soft shapes. Like there are no like hard edges. So like if you fell in this world, you wouldn't get hurt. You would just sort of like bounce softly off the ground.
Hmm.
Like I don't know, the mushroom would show you like these profound ways to live and build a world where it's very harmonious in every aspect. It's weird.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
absolutely.
such a cool world. It was like a soft, bouncy world.
Uh-huh.
And the mushroom is like, see, if you live like this, you'll never get hurt. Like there's nothing that can damage your body. It's
Mm.
just bizarre. It's showing me all of these strange scenarios of life.
For sure, for sure. I when I was on a deep mushroom journey one time, I remember um, there was a lot of profound things that happened, but one of the things that was happening was I was helping activate this UFO, and I needed to activate all seven chakras in it, and each one of us, like each one of the seven people that were meant to activate it needed to bring their specific chakra that they were representing. I forget what color I was. I might have been yellow. And then I had another friend come that was red. And then I had another one come that was blue. And then the other ones weren't ready yet. But I don't think they were all on Earth. I think they were out in the galaxy somewhere. And somehow we were supposed to meet and activate this UFO. And I've never gone back into that specific space to do that again. And I'm so curious because, like, as I'm saying this, does anything come up for you around that?
Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so smiling. It sounds like something so wild that you would encounter. But like you're right, it's so hard to go back to that same scene and try to do it again. Like I've had trips like where I'll see something so amazing within the first 2 hours. Like I saw this floating pod of like LED lights, and they were all like these beautiful angelic beings and women riding in it. It was like floating away. And I was like, I need to go back and find them again. Like, this is just too cool. And
Hmm.
then, I went to the bathroom, got some water, and then like went back to the couch, closed my eyes, and I was like trying so hard to get back to this scene, but I just couldn't. And the scene changes, another theme emerges, and you're just like trapped for another hour. But I've encountered so many bizarre instances like that where I'm stuck doing something and I'm trying to finish it, but then you just can't because you sometimes your mind goes into this time loop. And if it's going into that type of loop, you could get into like a bad trip.
Hmm.
So usually if some scene like that is going on for like more than, oh, I don't know, it's hard to tell time when you're in hyperspace, but let's say it's hypothetically 10 minutes.
Hmm.
If I'm like going over some kind of problem like that for 10 minutes, I already know how to uh, trip sit myself so that I can get out of it. I usually would try to move my body or drink water, and then it will sort of reset that mind loop. This is
Mm.
like really advanced trip stuff, man. I don't even know if people are following along, but I'm basically trying to teach somebody how to get out of a bad trip
Yeah.
because, like you said, you were trying to like, fix the chakras and stuff, and sometimes you can just get stuck doing something like that for so long, and then you get scary,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would just kind of, I was like, okay, it's just not the right time, and it'll happen when it's gonna happen, if it's gonna happen, you know?
Right,
And
right.
I've released it. This was like back in 2020, so almost 6 years ago. So when the
Nice.
time's right, it'll come, you know? And so I just trust. I think that also helps me a lot, is just trusting and not trying to force anything, especially in that space. It just can't really do it. It's like, okay, if I'm not going to get too caught up on this, it's not the time. Let's move on to the next thing. And then I think the next thing I did was learn how to speak dolphin and some other stuff, really cool stuff like that, you know?
Oh man, I got you. I know what's up.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Oh,
But
been there, done that.
I almost feel more comfortable in that space than in this reality sometimes, you know? It's like navigating that space feels really natural to me in some ways. And in this reality, it feels like things are a little bit more challenging sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. But if you have really good success with mushroom trips, it means that your mind doesn't have a lot of afflictions, mental afflictions. It means that your meditative practice, your spiritual practice is going very well. Because from someone like myself, I never had bad mushroom trips. I've had bad, like, visions, and there's some moments where it's just really just gets like hell. But
Mhm.
this is very common. And most of my trips, the majority, 99%, were just so heavenly, angelic, full of teachings, full of beautiful scenery, artwork, realms, dimensions you could never ever have imagined in
For
as
sure.
an artist or even as a human.
Yeah.
And for me to be shown these at this time of my life, I come to realize that the realms I was seeing are referred to as pure lands. And these are realms of consciousness that you can actually see, like if you're like a monk or a yogi practicing certain types of Buddhism, you can actually travel into these pure lands at the moment of death.
Hmm.
Like the goal of a lot of Buddhist practitioners is to not be reborn back into samsara,
Yeah.
not to be reborn back into earth, but to actually ascend one's consciousness to a pure land, which is sort of like a heaven
Hmm.
consciousness realm where a lot of practitioners will go after the moment of death. And in this realm, there are full of Buddhas and very beautiful hyperdimensional palaces and worlds. And you can get teachings from all of the enlightened beings of the entire universe, not just Buddhas, but like other Buddhas that have come trillions of years prior to every other Buddha.
Hmm.
So the term Buddha is just a term for enlightened being.
Right.
So to go into these pure lands, to barely peek into these pure lands on psychedelics, it was the most profound things I've ever. It is the most profound thing I've ever seen in my life, and I continue to talk about it to this day as being something so life changing, so profound. It led me on the path to become a yogi to this day. I wouldn't be here in Thailand if it wasn't for psychedelics showing me a glimpse of these pure lands.
Hmm.
And for me to see Buddhas and Vajrayana imagery in these lands, it made me come back to the real world and say, why was I shown these images of these spiritual people, these spiritual masters? And I never ever studied them in my life. So I went back, I went into Buddhism through the back door, studying all of these deities and beings that I saw, and I wanted to know why. And it eventually led me on the path of enlightenment, studying how to be, skilled at meditation, seeing the truth of reality, and then living that reality, finding realization, so that one's mind is in a state of peace. Because at the moment of death, yogis, we practice going into the higher realms. We practice avoiding being reborn back into samsara. And it's a
Absolutely.
practice known as the navigating the bardo.
Hmm.
And I, I'm pretty sure you've heard of the Tibetan Book of the Dead
Hmm.
at
Yeah.
some time
Absolutely.
of your life.
Yeah.
That is famous for teaching people how to navigate the bardo. So
Hmm.
if anybody is interested in these topics, it's written on the map on the upper right corner. It's referred to as bardo teachings.
Mm.
And the teachings of meditation I'm referring to are called Dzogchen meditation.
Hmm.
It is a form of non-dual meditation, and it's very similar to Zen and Advaita, and it would be categorized in the Vajrayana teachings of Ati Yoga. So this is technical, but people can come back to this if they're really interested.
Hmm.
Everything's written on the Great Awakening map. It's just a treasure chest of secret topics that will lead you to the higher knowledge of either escaping samsara or becoming a Buddha or finding pure lands in hyperspace,
Yeah. Yeah.
which
For,
I recommend everybody to try and find.
for sure. For sure. So you were just mentioning about the flower of life recently, right? And about the rounded shapes, right? And I see a lot of rounded shapes in the Great Awakening map as well. And what my question is in cities, right? Like major cities, everything is these angles, everything is linear and square. And you see it also in these ancient ruins, like the Mexican sun and the moon pyramid and all around there. And it looks like a microchip when you zoom out and look at it from above. Do you think that there's some sort of energy siphoning happening in cities?
Absolutely. Like in our modern cities, the reason why we have angles and corners is due to efficiency and economy. It's
Hmm.
cheaper to make things this way. And in terms of like architectural style,
Hmm.
um, architectural style and art always changes. So people say like, oh, how come back in the day buildings were more fancy than today? But eventually, when you have something that is like a maximalism, eventually it'll turn minimalism, and then eventually it'll go back to maximalism again.
Hmm.
So it's also like a human's construct of wanting to change things due to like an artistic reason. We get bored and we want to change. But like I was saying earlier, where you have curves, you have spirit. But where
Mhm.
you have corners, you have ego, because ego is now trying to find a better route through the curve. The curve is already perfect. But when you start building corners and you start building angles, then you get into like architecture, then you have the artist ego in the building design. You can see how ego comes into play, right?
Mhm.
From pureness, oneness, then you have the birth into our world, and from our world you have a line, a straight line, and from that line you can make other angles to try to build in this world. And then you have ego, and then you have confusion, and you have ignorance, because you start to lose your connection one back to the oneness of what was already perfect, the perfect spirit, the flower of life.
Mhm.
So as humans, when you build all the pyramids back in the day, they could only do so much. They couldn't build perfect curves and domes and stuff. So they had to use what they had to build corners and shapes. And they did it in a spiritual way, though. Like the Angkor Wat in Cambodia is, like you said, a giant circuit. It's a giant ascension machine.
Mhm.
So they're doing their best to use nature, the form of nature, to amplify our consciousness. Our consciousness, like I said, is a flower of life.
Mhm.
So they're using the corners of Metatron's cube to make the enclosure for the consciousness to form. Like the pyramid of Giza, right? It's an
Mhm.
ascension machine, but you don't see any curves in there because they're using Metatron's cube. They're creating the outer structure to harness the perfection of consciousness, which is when you lay in the sarcophagus and you're an Egyptian initiate back in the day,
Mhm.
then the resident of the entire Giza complex makes your. I've read so many like past life regressions of this, but most people will remember having their consciousness ejected out of their third eye toward Orion constellation.
Mhm.
And from there, they get to astral travel and astral project. And I don't know, maybe they go see other gods, get information, and they come back and, build Egypt. I don't know.
Yeah.
but it's something like that. They use it for, I think they use it for astral traveling, like separating the consciousness from the body.
Mhm.
Because what else would they use it for? Like, because to become enlightened, you also have to do inner work. You can't
Oh,
just
for
lay in
sure.
there and become enlightened, but you can lay in there and have like a astral traveling experience and then
Mhm.
become awakened from that.
Right, right. Well, my question is like if if these cities are so square and a lot of ego like you said in them, where's all that energy going to it? In a computer, the microchip is fueling the computer, right? And all the microchips together allow us to use it, right? So do you think that in these cities, because I feel completely different when I go out into nature than when I'm in the city, you know? And when I'm in the city, it feels like very subtly like some energy is being harnessed versus where when I'm in nature, it's just I'm one with it and there's an equilibrium and there's a homeostasis there.
This is kind of dark, but I don't know if I want to say this, but there are land spirits on our planet. And these land spirits are something that we have to respect. But most people in the West don't respect land spirits. They don't even know that they exist. But here in Thailand, people respect land spirits all the time. Like you're always making offerings to them. Like if you have a house, there will be like a little offering temple that you put like food and water in, and you just basically give thanks to the land spirits for being on
Yeah.
their land.
Hmm.
And in the West, when you have these big cities, when these land spirits are not appeased and when you're destroying the environment, then you feel the negative energy. And if
Mm,
you want to even go darker than that, like on the Great Awakening map, it's shown that reptilians and dark entities feed off of this loosh energy from
right.
cities.
Okay, that's where I was I think getting
That's
to.
part of
Yeah.
it, which is like so dark and deep and rabbit hole-ish. But I mean, it's there if you want to go there and learn about it. It's true, but that's part of it.
Hmm. Hmm.
there's always somebody feeding off something in this world of samsara that we live in. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's not that they're trying to do bad to us, it's just that that's what they eat.
Right. Right.
They're
That's their
just
light.
they've just been there.
That's like their chi, right?
They've just been chilling here for billions of years, and we come and build these ugly cities, and then what do you expect, right?
Right.
So that's part of it. If you want to, yeah.
Yeah, I've worked with the Mamos from Colombia, and they actually are so connected to the earth that when we were going to certain sacred locations around the country in the U.S., we would they would find these guardian. Usually they were large stones or rocks or a collection of rocks, and they would go to them and they would do a ceremony to appease these spirits and to connect with them and to ask them how can we heal the land. And so I totally resonate with that. And then you have all the ancestral spirits, right? Like the spirits of all the people that ever lived on these lands, wherever you are, right? And then you have these other the next level, like you were saying, of almost like these reptilian type beings that um, that do have a lot of control over the planet, and they are taking energy from people in different ways. So yeah, that was I was really curious what your thoughts were on that. And another
Oh, in
topic I
Thailand, in Thailand here, there are beings that live inside the earth, and they're giant serpents called nagas. I don't know if you've ever seen images of like giant snakes, like
yeah
in temples and stuff in Thailand.
yeah
So these are referred to as nagas, and they're like higher dimensional serpents, and they protect the teachings of the Buddha. But if you disturb the environment, then they are not too happy.
hmm
And there is this river in Thailand that's about 4 or 5 hours away from where I live.
hmm
And every year at the same time, at the same location, on the same date of the year, there will be red fireballs that emerge out of the water and shoot into the sky. And these red
wow
fireballs are like this big,
uh-huh.
and they have no noise, no temperature, no smoke, no anything. It's just this luminous, pure, beautiful red ruby fireball just emerges out of the water and goes into the sky and disappears.
Wow.
And I went to see this phenomena for the first time 2 years ago.
hmm
And it's very, very hard to locate the exact location that they're going to emerge every year. But I went there setting the intention, lighting incense, praying, doing yogic mantras to the Naga. And then on that night, there was over like 33 fireballs that emerged out of the river over the course of like 1 hour. And
Wow.
for me to see it in real life with my own eyes, I was just so blown away because I have proof now that the Nagas are real, and there are things within our earth that are able to do these amazing supernatural phenomena.
hmm
So this perfectly ties in with all the land spirit conversation we just had. Like, it's a real thing. Like, I saw it for myself, and I understand now why we have to respect the land spirits, because it's a real thing. I saw
Yeah.
it. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're amazing.
It's man, I've been connected to the earth in such a deep way since I was a child, and like I'll always pick up trash and I'll always do something to like honor the earth, you know? And it it's sad. What's beautiful though is that the new generation are, you know, saying leave it better than you left it, and leave no trace, you know, like that's all becoming common lingo with people. And it's beautiful to see that. And um, I feel like when I pick up trash, or in the Burning Man community, they call it moop, matter out of place. And when I pick that up and bring it, you know, to the dumpster or to the trash, there's usually this beautiful energy exchange that happens where it feels like the earth gifts me something in return. Sometimes it's a really beautiful crystal or a rock, or like something that I've been manifesting like a little like a piece of metal or a coin or something neat like that. And it doesn't always happen, but it feels like there's this harmonious understanding between the nature and the nature spirits and with what my intentions are going into those types of spaces, you know?
Nice. Moop.
Yeah.
Matter out of place. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, it's a cool term. It's got a little I just learned it like last weekend. When I went on a hike with my friend. He said, "Oh, this is my moop bag." I was like, "What?"
I have I don't have Moop on the Great Awakening map, but I have Oop art.
Okay.
Oop, which is out of place artifacts.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Right? Like they'll be digging a mine, like in Russia, and then all of a sudden they'll come to like a rock with like tools in it from like a billion years ago. Like what?
Yeah.
Right? It's crazy. Oop art, it's called. It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
There were civilizations on Earth like millions of years ago that were advanced, and they're
Yeah.
just finding stuff from these people like in solid rock that's like a billion years old. Like what the heck?
Yeah, that's wild. That's
That's so wild.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is super interesting. I've always been fascinated with Atlantis and Lemuria and those kind of civilizations and my the farthest I've got with like connecting the dots with that was that Atlantis, the people that survived when that all, you know, went to destruction, some of them went to Guatemala, Mexico, Bolivia, like those areas where the Mayas existed, and then they went to Egypt, the other ones that survived. And then
Right.
to me, Hawaii feels really connected in a lot of ways to Lemuria. And that it used to be called Mu, right? MU.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So many names. It's
Yeah,
spread all over Earth, and a lot of them went inner Earth as well. People don't understand this. Um, inner Earth has a lot of civilizations that are known as breakaway civilizations. They've just been developing in these huge pockets and cavities within our Earth, and they have advanced technology for them to have like artificial sunlight and food, water, whatever you need. Obviously, everything is within the Earth already. So there's probably like hundreds of civilizations within inner Earth, and a lot of them are ancient civilizations, maybe survivors of Atlantis, Mu, Lemuria. Some of them are ETs that come and live within our Earth. Some of them are secret space program, Black Project program. Some of them are like ancient Nazis that broke away from the bad guys, and they went and built good guy civilizations in there with free energy technology, like UFOs that can pass through walls. Like this
oh yeah.
crazy stuff in the inner Earth. I love studying the fact that within the Nazis you had these brilliant scientists who were forced to do bad things, right? But
Right.
then you also had scientists who were like, let's do good things with this technology. They escaped on their own UFOs. Some of them went to Mars. Some of them left the solar system, never to return. Some of them went inner Earth and built these inner Earth civilizations where it's, I guess, peaceful people. I don't know. I've never been. I can't say, but so many amazing stories like this about our civilization, inner Earth. That's just another whole podcast you can go into. It's just so incredible what's inside of our Earth.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's almost like another dimension, right? It's not so much like you drill through the rock and then you get to these civilizations. It's almost like there's these access points. It seems like at the North Pole, possibly around the Bermuda Triangle at some point, and then down in Antarctica, and then you almost like enter into another dimension is what it seems like. It's still part of the earth, but it's a different frequency and there's like a sun inside there. Some people have said, right? Like it's like a whole nother reality of this planet, quote unquote.
It's sort of halfway between 3D and 4D
Hmm.
because sometimes when you get to these caverns, you'll see nothing there. but there's actually an entire civilization there, a slightly higher frequency octave than the 3D. So to access these worlds, you have to have like a UFO craft that can vibrate into that frequency dimension,
Hmm.
and then you can access. Because you have to understand, like most of these people who are going into inner Earth, they're going into it like through the ocean or through the mountains. They just pass the craft through.
Hmm.
I mean, they already have this technology. You have to be at least 4D civilization to be living in inner Earth. But there are like 3D type of beings, like ant beings. Have you heard of them?
Yeah.
Sasquatch.
Hmm.
These type of beings that live like in the Grand Canyon. There's secret tunnels that go down to like the ant world people, like
Yeah.
telepathic ant world people. That's crazy stuff. And
Yeah.
I love stories like that too.
Yeah, I've had some actually encounters on Mount Shasta with the Sasquatch. Yeah.
Really, tell me about it.
Yeah, I've had three encounters. I have a podcast just on that of
Oh
me
my God, that's
just
so
talking.
cool.
Yeah, just me talking about it. But it's basically um there was three encounters. One was I heard the knocking on the tree, the distinct deep thud that is no machine could create, no human could knock that hard on a piece of wood, it was just very clearly um, something large and really strong. And then I went into a telepathic communication with this being, and he told me his name, and he was around my age in their development, right? And
Wow.
yeah, and he said to me, he said, I have a sister who is a little bit older than me, and she's real curious. She's not aggressive. She's just real curious. So she may come around the camp at night, and you may interact with her. You may see her. And this was during COVID when nobody was traveling. I went up to Mount Shasta with my ex partner, and that night we were sleeping in the van, and she taps my shoulder. She's like, look over there, and I'm like, we're laying in the bottom of the van, and we had a Mexican blanket hanging up over the window, and I look up, and there's these bright green eyes like 7 feet up in the air looking in through the Mexican blanket, and both of us felt chills, and we're like, okay, that's definitely her. That's the female that other one was mentioning, and then I shined this flashlight on her because we were kind of scared. We were like, "Oh my God," you know, um, and uh, and so
Can't believe that.
then we went up to the top of the mountain and camped at a campsite called the Red Fir Campground. And up there, uh, I was everyone was sleeping, and I got woken up by a knock on top of the van, and immediately got taken into that telepathic communication, and it was the guardian of the mountain, like the major alpha male, and he was like, he made me bow in that telepathic like connection. He made me bow in my mind to him, and he's like, what are you doing here? And I was like, I'm here to learn, I'm here to connect with the land, I'm here to clean up any trash, and I'm here to get any activations. And he felt my heart, and he was like, okay, thank you for being here. We both bowed to each other, and he left. And the next morning, I looked. There was no pine cones. There was no trees over the van that could have caused that knock. And I sat in meditation, and I felt his presence again. And the next morning, and I open my eyes, and there's a chipmunk next to me. And telepathically, he tells me I don't have to be this giant being. I can shapeshift into something small where I can just eat a couple of nuts a day. But if I need to travel far and get to places to protect and be the protector, then I can go very quickly as this giant Sasquatch. And I was like,
Oh,
okay, this is
I can't
beautiful.
believe this. You're the first person who's ever had that type of close contact with a being before that I've ever met. And I didn't know that the Sasquatch could transform or send their consciousness into something else. That's so crazy.
It
I'm
was it
really,
was profound, man, because
I'm really mind
my
blown
my
right
lo-
now.
my logical mind was like, okay, am I tripping, right? And then my buddy that was camping at that same campground on the other side that same night, he said that they were sitting around the campfire and they heard these huge footsteps coming, and then they stopped right in front of their campsite and they flashed their flashlight on it, and it was a deer. And they were like, he was like, I'm 100% convinced that it shapeshifted into a deer so that we wouldn't be afraid of it.
I had no idea they could do that.
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
sense though. They're a 4D being. They can either transfer their consciousness to another being, or they're actually sending you a telepathic vision, which is,
Right.
it could be another thing. That's crazy. I had no idea.
Yeah. Yeah. It was profound, man. And I, I'll never forget that. And I'm still really curious where that's all going to evolve into, you know?
Maybe you're gonna be the new guardian of the mountain one day.
Who knows, man? That place is very sacred. And speaking of 4D, right? You know about Mount Shasta and how inside of there's a whole city, right? Telos?
I've heard, yeah, I've been there, but I didn't get to stay long. I've studied it, and I know people who live in that area and say all these crazy things, and I believe them.
Hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of missing people. When the first time I went there, there was all these missing people posters all around the town. And I was like, wow,
Mhm.
this is kind of dark, you know? But then I started thinking maybe they're entering Telos and somehow going into that, you know? I'm not sure what's going on over there. There could be a few things, but that's what my mind wants to believe, you know?
Maybe portals or secret entrances,
Yeah.
all of the above.
Yeah, there's a
ET
there's
craft.
there's several people on YouTube that talk about going into Telos and coming back. I think they even interviewed a guy on Cosmic Disclosure that went into the city.
Wow,
I
that's
believe
crazy.
so. Don't quote me, but there was
So
there.
cool.
I've listened to a man talk about going in and then coming out. He had gone into one of those portals.
Wow, this is a whole nother Inner Earth podcast. I'm
Yeah,
fascinated.
yeah, man. It's super interesting. You know, I want to kind of there's one topic that I think is super interesting right now, and it's related to what we were talking about earlier, where, you know, I was listening to a man on Instagram this morning talking about how autistic children will go to this place where they're able to interact with one another and have these communications and conversations with each other. And this woman had entered that space at one point, and when you were talking about that heaven-like place, right? They it seems like they're able to go there because they're so connected to the astral and these higher dimensions. A lot of these kids, right? And so this woman had gone into that state, and this boy, he wasn't able to verbally communicate, but he was able to type it out on his iPad, and he said that you've been to this place and you've seen me there. And it like blew her mind, and she had this remembrance that when she went into that realm, that she had these interactions with all these children that were there, and they were all communicating with her, and it was like this beautiful peaceful place. So have you heard about this?
You mean it's a place they can go to with telepathy from autistic children?
Yeah, it's almost like they're there in
They
this
must be star
reality,
children
like all the
or
time.
starseed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because
They're
starseeds, light workers, indigo children who are born, they have these higher dimensional abilities that they remember from their past lives, such as telepathy. And sometimes they're able to remember their past life. So they're probably projecting some type of past life memory for this lady to enter into.
yeah. It's really fascinating. Have you heard of the telepathy tapes?
For children or just in general?
It's a podcast called the Telepathy Tapes, and they interview different parents with autistic children, and they talk about these kind of experiences. And
Um,
I was working for a year with autistic children in physical therapy, and some of the children look like they don't know what's going on, but then you give them an iPad and they're typing out full sentences and they're able to fully communicate. And it was just so fascinating to me because when I was growing up, there wasn't iPads and these kids weren't able to communicate, and they were looked at as um, not as intelligent,
on my Great Awakening map, I refer to these children with their ADHD and their autistic higher mind frequency, because when I studied the work of Dolores Cannon, she has done over 10,000 past life regressions of people. So she knows that these type of children come into this life because in their past life, they were such a higher dimensional being. For them to be reborn into this earth, it was just too constraining for
Mhm.
their mind.
Yeah.
So they express themselves creatively and through, like you said, telepathy and referring to past life memories and describing amazing like technologies, and saying like some children can describe free energy technology, and they're just born. This information is just within them, and I'm aware of these type of stories, but I haven't seen the telepathy tapes.
Yeah, check it out. I've only listened to a little bit of it, but it's profound. It's profound. There's a lot of really incredible experiences in that. And there's a book called The Indigo Children, and I had my dad read it, and because I resonate with that. Uh, from what I've read, it seems like 1987 was when the Indigo Children really started coming onto Earth, and I was born December 20th, 1986. So I was
Yes.
like right there, right? And I believe that there was some OGs that came before that, but I think that there was this influx of Indigo Children that started happening around that time.
Referred to
And
as the wave of volunteers.
yeah.
There's three waves of volunteers in Dolores Cannon's work, and I think you're referring to one or one or first or second wave.
Hmm.
All the same to me.
Yeah.
It's all the same.
Yeah, yeah, and then the next generation I think is the Rainbow Children and then the Crystalline Children. Those are probably the three waves, right?
Okay, so you have like the metaphysical names for them.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I like
it's
it.
it's like it's like my generation, and I think we're close to the same age, and then our kids, and then their kids, like
Fascinating. Always best
those three
topic.
generations. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have past life memories, but I do have past life feelings and sensations. So, for instance, I love going to India, and most people would never want to go to India to travel and just be. But for me, when I go there, it's like heaven to me. I don't know why people don't
Mm.
see it like that, but you know how it is. Past life imprints.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I've had a few past life regressions that have come at different moments in my life, and I've shared a couple of them on the podcast. But one of them was in myofascial unwinding. I was taking this class with John Barnes and learning how to unwind the body and release any traumas and stuck energy in the body, and it wasn't linear. Like I would go into this past lifetime as a native from what is now Colombia, and I was like paddling in this boat, and the Spaniards were like trying to shoot me down, and I was the son of the
Mhm.
chief. And then I've had like in Kundalini yoga and my meditations, I've had my third eye just blast open and seeing like glimpses, right, of like being in Egypt, being this like king of France, I believe, or one of the royals back then.
That is
And
so funny, man.
it's so interesting. It's so interesting.
That is crazy.
Yeah, and I've had visions of being a native in America, like in North America as well. And yeah, they come at random times and they give me certain insights on my journey here, you know.
That's a whole nother rabbit hole,
I
which
know
is
we got
also
so
on
many rabbit holes, man.
it's also on the Great Awakening map under Dolores Cannon's work, Past Life Regression, because from hearing all of the past lives of the 10,000 clients she's done, some of these clients are having memories from off world. Like, I remember one person grew up on an ant world and he was an ant, like on another planet,
Mhm.
telepathic. Some people are like dolphins. Some people are just like a rock for a
Yeah.
million years. And
Yep.
then you learn like spiritual lessons of like patience and like, I don't even know what else to say, but like you can be anything and everything. You can be
Yeah.
an entire solar system. People have
Yeah.
had past lives of being like, stars.
Yeah.
It's it's wild stuff.
Yeah. I
Yeah. I love
I
it.
I met this guy. I met this guy who is like a profound meditator. He's been doing Yogananda Paramahansa's meditation for 20 years straight every day. And I spoke with him, and he's like, I've had some past lifetime regressions. And he's like, there was just two. One of them, I was a crystal, and I was watching the sunset, and I was watching the, the sun go up and down, and then one day I just fell over, and that was the end of
That's
that
deep, man.
lifetime.
It's too
Well,
deep for me today.
I was like, man, that's why you're such a good meditator. And then from there, he became a planet, and he
Nice.
remembers being this planet, and eventually the planet blew up and became the asteroid belt or part of it, right? And he's like, that's it. That's all my past lifetimes. And I was
Oh
like,
my God, that's on my Great Awakening map too. The planet that blew up and became the asteroid belt.
oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was in a war with Mars
Yeah, yeah.
because before, I think, let me get this story straight. Mars used to be a moon of this huge planet called the Super Earth. Some other people refer to it as Mu or something, but I don't know. Tiamat. There's so many names. So there's this huge super Earth, and then either Mars was the moon of it, or Mars was another planet next to it. Some reason there was a war. It blew up. The survivors went to live on Mars, and then those survivors eventually became the either the Anunnaki or the Illuminati, something like that.
Hmm.
So what you're referring to is actually on my map. So the asteroid belt was actually that super Earth before with all of these super ascended beings, Atlantis type of beings. Very
Wow.
interesting. Very
Wow.
interesting Earth story. This is
Yeah, I
over
feel
500,000 years ago.
I feel
If I'm
like there's all these
correct.
little pieces of the puzzle coming together.
Crazy stuff.
I think that your map, the Great Awakening map, is something that can be studied for many, many, many years, and depending on where the interest of the individual is, right? And the beauty of it, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that you can literally start anywhere on the map, right?
Like, for instance, I started with the hexagon on Saturn.
Hmm.
Some people start with, like, fluoride toothpaste.
Hmm.
Some other people start with vaccines. That's very common. Some people start with GMO food. People start with Nikola Tesla. These are common.
Yeah.
But the rabbit hole runs deep and everything is connected. Everything is all about overcoming the dark aspects of reality and realizing that there are lighter aspects, such as spiritual path, becoming enlightened,
Hmm.
becoming ascended,
Right.
however you want to, think about it. But there is a way out of the darkness and the path is readily available. It's just that, do you have enough positive karma in your life to find that path right now? Find a teacher, find a teaching, find a group of people. These are things that find you when you become somebody who takes that first step of awakening. And I hope that this podcast can help people realize that they are able to take this first step anytime.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, 5D, for joining me today. We definitely have to do a part two. Uh, what do you think?
You want to talk about the light body real quick?
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about the light body.
Okay. Most people may know this already who listen to this podcast, but for the people who don't even know, um, what I'm going to say here is sort of like an allusion to Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I think most people know Star Wars is about the Jedi, and the Jedi study from Jedi masters, and then they attain these supernatural abilities, such as tapping into the Force. And when they tap into the Force, they can do things like float, telepathy, they can move super fast, they can
Mm-hmm.
fly,
Yeah.
and they're also supposed to be like, omniscient, super wise in all things. But I'm here to say that Star Wars is actually truth. Like, there are people in this world who are actually Jedi. They're referred to as yogis and monks.
Yeah.
And many of them practice the lineage of Vajrayana Buddhism. And within Vajrayana Buddhism, there is a path known as Dzogchen, which is the meditation that I practice as well. And I like to refer to myself as a Dzogchen yogi,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm just a yogi, but I practice the path of Dzogchen because I've been so fascinated with the supernatural abilities of the practitioners
Mm-hmm.
that take this path all the way to enlightenment. And in Tibet, you have monks and yogis who practice this form of spiritual realization called Dzogchen, this non dual mind meditation. And at the moment of death, if they become fully enlightened in this lifetime, their bodies don't actually die and decompose. What usually happens at the moment of death is their bodies will stay warm. The skin is pink and actually looks younger. The bodies will shrink. And then sometimes the bodies will shrink so small, like it becomes like this small, like a doll.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they'll shrink all the way where there's nothing left,
Mm-hmm.
like just disappear completely. And when this is occurring, there are rainbow lights emanating within the room. And sometimes these rainbow lights will go into the sky. Like the entire sky will be full of rainbow rings and arches and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'll just see rainbows all over the place. It's called the rainbow body phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
And what's happening to these masters is that their body, their physical portion of their beingness is dissolving back into the five lights.
Yeah.
Five lights: red, yellow, green, blue, and white.
Mm-hmm.
And their consciousness is pure, it's fully enlightened, it's a Buddha. And this consciousness can either go to the Pure Lands or it can remain just as it is in the state of equanimity, or it can actually choose to be reborn again and come back as like a monk again and then help beings again. Like, Dalai Lama and all of those Gelugpa monks, their path is to not try to leave samsara. Their path is to actually be reborn again into the body of a monk or a
Yeah.
lama or a yogi, and
Yeah.
then teach again. Like they don't ever want to leave samsara. This is known as bodhicitta. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's the compassionate wisdom to want to help all beings forever and never leave behind the matrix. So there's different ways of navigating the bardo when you die, and when you're an enlightened being, you aren't afraid. So coming back again into a human again is not something that they're fearful of, which I admire. It's amazing that these monks choose this. But for someone like myself, I just want to peace out and go to the Pure Lands and just
Yeah.
hang out for a few eons and then maybe come back. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. For
Oh,
sure.
so the light body, right? We were talking about the light body. So this is the light body. It's when you pass away fully enlightened, your body turns into the light body. And then this light body is in a fully enlightened state of consciousness that anybody can attain in this lifetime if they so choose to walk this spiritual path. And this is the ultimate spiritual like attainment. Like after this, there's nothing that you could actually do to experience the end of suffering for oneself.
Mm-hmm.
And every spiritual tradition is going to lead somebody toward this state of beingness eventually. Like you have Christianity, you have Islam, you have all of these other non-dual teachings like Advaita, Mahamudra, Dzogchen, Zen, even. All of these paths are pointing us toward this body of light. Just like Jesus, he had a body of light. Most people don't realize he was actually like a light being, right? When he passed away.
Yeah.
His light body is something that was taught by the Buddhas. And they think that Jesus, when he was in his 15 lost years, they think he traveled throughout India and Tibet and Bhutan. And they think that Jesus actually received the ancient Vajrayana teachings of the Buddha and these yogic traditions of India. And that's why he was able to attain light body. Otherwise, there's no other way. You have to understand this non-dual mind meditation. And I think that's what the teachings of Jesus, the gnosis of his pure teachings were trying to convey. But as you know, religion has completely contaminated the true teachings of these masters till this day. And most people have lost the fact that the point of these teachings is to become a light body, is to shed our physicalness of being here and then find that perfection of who we truly are, beyond all of our suffering, beyond all of our mental afflictions that we've picked up from this life. Like we're sponges, just absorbing pop culture, music, bad food, bad habits, bad politics. We've been absorbing all of this for our whole life. But when you are a practitioner of yoga or meditation, you're basically squeezing out the sponge of one's mind. You're becoming pure to your true nature, the Buddha nature within each and every one of us, our light body nature, our Christ consciousness, right? Our cosmic consciousness. That's the whole point of the map, is just to get people back here. At least show them that it exists so that they can choose. All the other scary stuff on the map is just to propel one towards the light. If you don't know the darkness, you cannot step into the light.
For sure.
So everything that I share today, I hope that people understand this light body aspect of our true nature. At least try to learn about it, study it. If you are so inclined, study the path of awakening, become a yogi or a monk or a lama, or just be a lay practitioner. Do it from home, but do it with confidence that it's possible, and don't try to like doubt yourself. Like, oh, I can't do this. This is too hard. Life's too. I'm worried about money and bills. Don't worry. Just try, because there's no other chance you're gonna get. You're not gonna. It's not easy to be reborn on Earth. This is a cosmic lottery to be born here and have the challenges and opportunities to become enlightened. Because you cannot become enlightened as an animal or as a ghost. You cannot become enlightened if you're a god, because gods are so distracted by their fancy toys and weapons and technology and mansions in the higher realms. They don't want to study enlightenment. They don't want to experience suffering. They're just so having a great party. So to be born as a human in the middle of the spectrum between like demon, ghost, human, like ETs, and then gods, to be a human is the only realm where you can attain enlightenment, become a light body, and then leave samsara permanently, leave the matrix. This is very profound, that to be a human is the only way, the only vehicle that you can attain spiritual enlightenment. Very profound.
That's super profound.
Very profound. So to be here, you guys are all so lucky. Don't waste this life. Don't waste this opportunity. At least practice meditation. At least look into yogas or higher mind, light body. Listen to Peter's podcast. You know, like, this is how you open the door.
Yeah. Thank you, brother. And definitely check out 5D's map, because that is also working on a subconscious level to find these little pieces of the puzzle that all lead to the same tip of the mountain, but it's going to look different for everybody. And
Perfect.
everything is perfect, and that's why the podcast is here, to give people all different types of walks along their path and different opportunities and ways. So it's been such an honor to have you on today, 5D. Thank you so much again.
Thanks so much, Peter. It's been an honor.
Many blessings, brother. Thank you.